Back again for America's Mayor Live. And we are back after several weeks in New York City, which is like culture shock after being in a free state for a while. We are back in a socialist state for a while. Congestion pricing soon to be instituted so that they can tell everybody who's below 61st Street. They will have a nice, you will see, they will have up by the bridge a very big underground, and then everyone will be looked at. There. Let's, Herr Biden would like to know where, yeah, where's Giuliani? Yeah, yeah. When, no, we haven't put him in jail yet. Oh yes, we've kept him suspended from the practice of law. Don't worry. Yeah. Yeah, but I know we can't keep his mouth shut. No, we can't do that. Okay, that's the kind of stuff that happens. That's what they want. They want to take their fascism and make it much more techno, so they know every place we are. You see that advertisement that Pat Boone does about the money. They want to be able to, they don't want to like send you a bill for your taxes. They just want to reach in and take it out. So you go to make out a check, you think you have money in your account, but they just took out 50 grand for taxes. But I don't owe 50 grand. You say you don't owe 50 grand, but the IRS, run by non-conservative people, as it has been for some time. Come on, you know what's going on. So the Supreme Court today gave us some good news, so I should start off happy. The good news is, why I have to consider this good news, I don't know, because if you told me 2 years ago that it was good news that a single state could not throw a candidate off the ballot for a charge not proven anywhere in any court or even charged, I would say, are you S&, me? In other words, I got to worry about some crazy all Democrat court in a place where they're kind of like half their brains are gone with marijuana. You know, the Oregon Supreme Court looks like this. Court open. Yes. Oh, yes, we'll take Trump off the ballot. Is there any proof of insurrection? Of course. Proof of insurrection. Please admit the fumes from the January 6th report one more time into evidence. Oh, so thank you. There's a Swalwell fume. Comes with heavy Chinese mixture.
So that is your impression of someone high on the
Supreme
marijuana.
Court of Colorado, yeah. No, cannabis. Can't say marijuana anymore. Adam says cannabis. Yeah. Adam's had another big opening. He's doing well. He's got 5 legitimate state cannabis stores, and there are 1,700 illegitimate. Who do you think's winning?
Yeah, how's that going for Oregon?
Well, having taken the case out of the verified air of Colorado, it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court today, in an unanimous opinion, ruled that Donald J. Trump cannot be excluded from the ballot for insurrection. Now, they didn't decide it because there was no insurrection, ever. There was no insurrection proven by anyone. There was no insurrection in a court of law or comparable thing thereof. There was no insurrection charged in an indictment of any kind. There was no insurrection charged in a complaint of any kind. Even the sort of popular facts given that January 6 failed to come up with a gun, made the idea of a weapon kind of like a real joke, and had Saturday Night Live still been a humorous show rather than a captive of the fascist regime, you would have had a lot of funny stories about that. Uh, having an insurrection against the single biggest military power in the world without a weapon. There was no plan for another government of any kind. There was no plan of any kind. So there was no insurrection. So said the FBI. But no, the judges of Colorado, four of the seven Democrat judges, I guess the four who became communists rather than the three who remained progressive, decided that Trump should be off the ballot based on an amendment never used for that purpose ever, passed to keep people who revolted against the United States off the ballot, and put into the 14th Amendment, which took rights from the states and gave it to the federal government, except this was done by a state. There were about 15 different reasons why this was wrong and unconstitutional, all of which eluded the completely corrupt judges of the Colorado court, so that they were reversed today 9-0, even by their liberal supporters. In fact, if you look at the decision and you look at it nationwide, a fairly large majority of Democrat judges have found the whole thing to be absurd and have ruled against it. Their rulings have come in the most liberal of circles, and as well as by individual practitioners like the non-elected, I guess, appointed somebody in Maine who decided Trump can't be on the ballot. Where's the other place where a single person decided? Was it Michigan, Ted? Is that the same one who burned the ballots? The ballot burner?
That was Michigan.
Yeah, she just decided he shouldn't be on the ballot. I think they changed that.
Well, there was a number of states: Colorado, Maine.
Well, Maine had one person. Colorado had 4 Dems say throw Trump off because of the insurrection that nobody's proven. 3 said no. Maine had one lady who was appointed who said throw him off.
Illinois
Had one person?
Illinois had the judge, right?
Oh, one judge?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The judge was a traffic court judge.
Yeah.
The traffic court judge who threw him off based on threw him off. And then, but what? I thought we had somebody who had burned ballots who did it too. Well, in any event, maybe we did, maybe we didn't. In any event, the Supreme Court has rejected it. If you go to Rudy Giuliani Confidential, you'll get a very, very good legal description of how and why and what the rationale is and what it portends for future cases. To some extent, not much, to some extent, quite a bit, depending on the cases coming up. The important case, honestly, is the immunity case, and that's the one that we spent some time on. And I would suggest going there and listening to it. And then as we get closer to it, we'll go into more detail on that immunity case, because that immunity case is probably going to have a lot to do with whether they get to try him before the election. Now, we've got a real problem in New York, and I'm very upset about it because I did run as a Republican, and am extraordinarily loyal to the Republican Party in general. But the Republican Party in New York has made some drastic errors, so bad that they jeopardize really the nation. I mean, when you consider that the 4 pickups were so important and you realize the incompetence of the vetting that goes on here in New York, it frightens you. I mean, this is the place to pick Santos. Well, that has to give you pause to do a better job of picking people after you pick Santos. I mean, that was it. Santos is doing a good job of making himself into whatever the heck he is, a celebrity. And I don't mean to destroy the guy. The guy has a right to make a living, but he sure lied a lot. And he wasn't the kind of person you want as a public official. Of course, then once you had him and you had his vote and you had a year to go, did it make sense to toss him off to save the sorry asses of some of the others that went on? And they pick a woman for it. We tried our best for her, but when you think about it, I think she won one public office. She's a naturalized American, which is fine, but didn't have much of a rationale for office. Wasn't really a compelling candidate, and then really blew it by saying that she would support Trump, but then vote against him if he got convicted, which of course undercuts the entire thrust of the vast majority of our supporters, including me, and which is that these are entirely illegitimate, crooked prosecutions, to which a conviction is a travesty. A travesty of justice. It's like the nightmare that I had as a prosecutor of convicting innocent people. I mean, if you can't figure out he's innocent of these things, what the hell are you doing in our political party? So if he gets convicted, I mean, you're really going to tell me that you're so damn politically naive that you're going to give credit to a conviction in the District of Columbia? Not even a Democrat will. The Democrat lawyer will tell his client, if the client is a Republican, don't go to trial, jackass. In the District of Columbia, you're going to get convicted. These are the realities of the unfortunate corruption we live in. What the hell you think we're running against? And so we get this one, and she says we had to straighten her out the last day before the election, but all the Trump people stayed home. So now we've got this congressional race. The party's got a chance to do a primary to give the people of a party the chance to pick. Nice active primary where we can find out who the good candidates are, who the bad candidates are, who's got the skeletons in the closet, who doesn't. And we do the same thing I noticed they did, for which I am exceedingly still bitter, although I have nothing against Zeldin. What they did to Andrew in the gubernatorial candidacy, which is to pick one candidate and push everybody else out, and then reduce the primary to trying to get enough signatures, and then falsely challenging the signatures, coming up with all kinds of false challenges to it that ended up with no challenge at all, but cost a lot of money, and doing everything you can to fix the race for the boss-dominated candidate. You do not build a party that way. This is not how you build an opposition party to a corrupt political machine. That's how you imitate a corrupt political machine. Well, we did it again. We got a nice race against Gillibrand. She's a weak senator, and the party decides to take the guy that came up with the big money and put him and to all the party people. You trying to kid me? Who came up with all the money for the party people, and then he tosses out John Ellen, and he tosses out Kara Castronova, Josh Eisen, and Kara Castronova, two strong Trump supporters, and they throw in a guy nobody ever heard of, which is the reason for a primary, to find out the things you're going to find out now. One, the big one, that he contributed right at the point at which Gillibrand was saying she was going to persecute Trump and destroy him. He contributed to Letitia James. He contributed to the guy who passed the no bail bill, which is he gave him about $4,000. That's the bill that every cop in New York would tell you is creating the massive amount of crime, including the jeopardy for police officers. He happens to be a former police officer. I have real questions for this guy supporting someone like that. Then he gave big money to Swazi, who's the Democratic candidate, who refused to cooperate with ICE, threw him out of his jurisdiction, responsible for a lot of the immigrant crime, donated to Andrew's stuff him in the nursing home Cuomo, who also signed the bail bill. That's the reason that we got about 5,000 to 7,000 people walking the street of New York who would like to rape you, beat you, kill you, rob you. And that Adams and Hochul have been trying to change. This guy contributed to the governor who signed it and the guy who passed it. He's running as a Republican. He's donated a fortune to Democrats. He's also donated a fortune to Republicans. But he also is alleged to have made some opportune contributions to the Democrat Party to get his wife elected as a judge. Yes, you got it as a Democrat. And that's the way they do it in New York. You make contributions to become a judge. You're not elected. You're appointed by the Democratic boss. And I say boss like in Boss Tweed. Then the guy has the gall to say that Trump's not a good guy. And now he likes to say that I'm crooked. Like, you want to come on my show, jackass? You want to come on my show and call me crooked and tell me why I'm crooked?
Still yet to be proven, he said that, Mayor.
What?
Still yet to be proven.
Have him come on and deny it.
Just saying.
Come on and deny it. Tell me you didn't call me crooked.
Fair.
And tell me you didn't say that Trump wasn't a good man, that you want your son to grow up like Trump. And tell me that you never said you would never vote for Trump. Tell me you never said that.
That's playing right into the left's narrative that they paint, right? I mean, if we have our people, Republicans, out there saying Trump's not a good man, he is a great man.
This is on his radio show, Cop Talk. He called President Trump a bully and stubborn. He finds it difficult to tell his kids Trump is a good man. What do you say about Biden? What do you tell him about Biden? And how the hell do you know if Trump is a good man or not? Do you ever meet him? What's that based on? What are you, some kind of guy that just pulls it out of the top of your head? With his ego and the way he is, I can't see him wanting anybody but himself to be president. At a recent campaign event in Westchester, he called Mayor Giuliani owned and corrupt. And then he says, I'm the only person who's never been arrested, referring to both President Trump and Mayor Giuliani. During a screening for the Republican nomination to run in New York 3, Sapricone told the town committee, I could never vote for Trump for president. Now he says he'll support the party nominee. Pete King has said he should have the grace to resign. He said, screw you, Pete.
Well, man, let's not forget Pete King last year was a never Trumper as well. So, just saying, just throwing it out there. That's all.
I don't know what the hell that means. Who gives a shit? All I care about is right now. All I give a damn about is right now. This guy should not be on the ticket. And not a joke. This is not a joke. We got too much of this. Way too much of this. This is just what destroyed us last time. When I tried to fight for Trump, I found a political party that was 1/3 on 2/3 on our side, 1/3 made up of creeps like this. This guy doesn't know who the hell he is. How much money has this guy put into politics? How much money has he put in? Plenty. That's what he's about. He's about contributing to get nominated. What has he accomplished? He was a cop. Okay, what'd you do as a cop, Sapricone? I never heard of you. Did you make a big arrest? There's something about your pension. You got a pension. You got a pension problem. Donated money to John Katko, who voted to impeach Trump. Well, we got a few more, pal. 35 grand to Swazi. 10,000 to Cuomo. Kaminsky is the guy who was the architect of bail reform. And then lots of contributions for Democratic cross endorsement for his wife. Well, I guess she got elected maybe as a Republican because she got a Democratic cross endorsement as family judge and then Supreme Court justice in 2021. So that means you get endorsed by both political parties. So you're hardly a Democratic small d choice. We'll have to look at that. That's very, very interesting. Cross endorsement, contribution involved. Exactly what we need for a reform party, right? Look, unless he has a united 100% Republican Party, he's not even getting to 40% of the vote. This man does not have a united Republican Party. The president may have endorsed him. The president made a mistake. There are not many people capable of being able to say that, except me. And then I met people being capable of telling you, I called him yesterday and told him he made a mistake. And he told me he had maybe one fact out of 10, which means he was somebody went on the inside, worked out their own deal. And now the question is, anybody pay any money for that? Because that happens too sometimes. And we should not be doing that. They should be doing that. I didn't put my life in jeopardy, my career in jeopardy, to have a bunch of scumbags screwing around in my party. I want a party that's honest, straight, and that we can be proud of. And a party that stands the test of being unrealistically straight, because it's the only way we're going to combat what we live in. None of this deal-making nonsense. I don't know if half of this is true or not. What really matters is they don't want an open primary. It tells you all you need to know. They were afraid to do it with Andrew. They're afraid to do it now. Get out. Gone. You don't understand a Republican form of democracy. Get the hell out. I don't need some damn party boss telling me who the nominee is. You never pick good ones. Ever. Ever. The minute you tell me we don't need a primary, I know we got a party boss. Out. That's what the Democrats do. That's what I fought against all my life. And I'm damn well not going to sit here, having had the shit kicked out of me, fighting to straighten this place out, to watch this happen. You don't need to know anything more than the party bosses of the Republican Party are forcing Sapricone on you. The rest of it is just purely disgusting. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Here we are back again on America's Mayor Live, and now let's get to national politics. And of course, the most corrupt family of them all, the Biden family. Patrick Ho is suing Hunter Biden. Patrick Ho wants his $1 million legal fee back. Patrick Ho is the Chinese communist. Is he the trainer or the... I'm not sure if Patrick Ho... One of the two guys, either the guy who lived out in Great Neck or Patrick Ho, is the chief Chinese spy trainer. But in any event, Patrick Ho is one of them. They're all part of CEFC, which is the Chinese Communist government company that paid the family in the White House now, in the 6 years leading up to their entering the White House, a bare minimum of $31 million. Now, that's nice to know, isn't it? The issue that exists is how much of that got to the president. Not did they pay, not did the Chinese communists pay this to the Biden crime family, but how much got to the boss of the Biden crime family. And a lot of it did, and we can show it. But doesn't the mere fact that that creep family got that kind of money from the Chinese communists mean they should be thrown out of office for being traitors? Suppose the Kennedy family got $30 million from the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Or the Roosevelt family, $20 million from Hitler during the Second World War. Or the Reagan family, $20 million from Red China during the Cold War. Or Nixon got $10 million from Red China when he was negotiating with them. Or his family did, not him. They'd all gone to jail. Some of them might have been actually... Instead, we feed him on our dime. We actually treat him like he's the president, which is not even useful because they don't even know he's the president. Nobody would fall down that much if they knew they were the president. They'd be too embarrassed. They'd get out of the job. They'd say, I'm not going to embarrass myself this way. I really don't know who I am anymore. And I think I'm talking to my father, and he's been dead 7 years. And I think I gave a medal to my uncle at the White House 7 years after he was dead. There must be something wrong with me. See, Joe has been so stupid all his life, he doesn't recognize that he's demented. No, I'm serious. I know every time I say this, you just wish I had recorded some of those conversations with him. Here's Patrick Ho. I mean, he doesn't look like he's missed too many meals, I'll tell you that.
Oh,
there's Patrick.
Gotten big. We got some pictures of him.
Patrick, he didn't do too bad in jail. He's out of jail now. He wants his money back from. He says that Biden never did anything for him as a lawyer. He wants his $1 million back.
He gave him $1 million. He was a CEO.
He gave him $1 million to be a lawyer, and he says that Biden defrauded him. I mean, what a ungrateful guy he is. I mean, Biden was supposed to keep him out of jail, and he didn't. He paid Biden to fix the case, and Biden didn't fix the case, and he wants his money back. He paid his lawyer millions, but he wants his $1 million back because Biden says it wasn't a legal fee. You're damn right it wasn't a legal fee. It was a fee to fix the case. Oh, it's really great. It's really great. Just unbelievable. What a family. So that's number one. Number two is bail reform. All the left wing love criminals and love to watch New Yorkers get raped, killed, and beaten, like our city controller Brad Lander, and all these guys who just, they and all say that bail reform doesn't matter. It's actually reduced crime. And So there was a study today that shows that 66% of the people released under bail reform who had a recent prior arrest were rearrested within 2 years of the release. And almost half of them were felony arrests. And remember, you don't get arrested for every crime that you commit. It'd be interesting to see what the modern estimate is on that. But when I did this kind of work with James Q. Wilson, it was something like 1 out of 10 or 12. So you figure for every one crime you catch a guy, for a good one, for a good like a burglar, or you're talking 10 and then sometimes 20. So that's why these guys are considered crime machines. I think in just in August of 2022, New York City rearrest rates was close to 70% of people with prior records who were charged with larceny, burglary, robbery, and criminal contempt. This is all left-wing propaganda, lying, and press coverage because the press likes criminals and doesn't like you.
Well, Mayor, the bail reform, they think people are actually going to be kept out of Rikers. It's kind of funny because the population of Rikers is actually steadily going up every single day. There's actually jails that are almost at capacity.
Why? Because they're not granting bail now?
No, it's because these guys who get out on bail reform, they commit crimes immediately again, and they have
right back
to Rikers.
It only works for a little.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. It's
now in
ridiculous.
New York, you don't have the right to consider danger to the republic. You don't have the right to consider danger to the republic or risk of recidivism. Well, first of all, risk of recidivism makes bail. That's the whole purpose of bail. The whole purpose of bail is not to punish. The whole purpose of bail is to evaluate: are you going to come back? And then if you're a risk, to put a price on it to reduce that risk. And then the Supreme Court, in a case that I know very, very well, because it was my case, held in United States against Salerno that you can consider danger to the public. If a person is so dangerous that he's going to hurt the public, you can hold that person, even if they aren't that much of a flight risk. So, except it does in most states. Not in a state like New York where we like criminals better than innocent people because we're Democrats and because we're insane Pavlovian Democrats. In fact, we've been doing it for so long that we're stupider and dumber than Pavlovian dogs who learn after a while.
Some behind the curtain, you have Pavlov managing all of this by design.
Last year, the NYPD released a study that showed that just 327 people were responsible for 30% of New York City shoplifting arrests, with each arrested an average of 20 times a year. You realize if you just took out that 30% and how much you'd reduce shoplifting, the stores would come back to New York. We'd actually have jobs here again. But people, I spent 3 weeks in Florida. Half the people I met have left New York. And the other half were looking for homes. And it's hard. It's hard. I mean, they're starting to make choices like going to South Carolina now. And because Florida's getting Florida's getting overcrowded. And what happens is people get used to certain parts because their friends are there, right?
Yeah.
So Florida really isn't overcrowded if you start spreading.
Yeah.
If you start spreading, if you start going, like I have good friends now. Never had it way up in St. Augustine, Florida, which I am dying to go. Next time I'm there, it's about a 4-hour ride, but I want to go there. I think that's one of the earliest settlements in the New World, and it was one of the first, or Baltimore, the first Catholic settlement in the New World, other than the Spanish Franciscans who did Latin America. It's also the home of the of the Hall of Fame of golf. Has a great island golf course, so we can play there. I'm not sure I can tell you. I'm not sure that our friends who live there would like that to be known because I think they enjoy their privacy. But if they do, when we go, we'll make a big deal of it and we'll show people what St. Augustine looks like. Or is it St. Augustine? I don't know if they see St. Augustine is the Latin pronunciation. I think they pronounce it St. Augustine.
I think it's Augustine, man.
Yeah, but St. Augustine is the great saint of the Confessions of St. Augustine. Want to read a great book about a guy who committed a lot of sins and became a saint? You just better convert on time. You drop dead before you convert. Bah! Dante's got a place for you. Now, they theoretically did away with purgatory, but nobody's done away with the inferno. They got heaven and they got hell. But you still want to read the book, Dante's book, the Purgatorio, because Purgatorio, I think, is the best of the three books.
You're right. It's pronounced San Augustine in Spanish.
Hmm?
San Augustine. So Saint Augustine.
That's the Latin pronunciation too. Augustine and Spanish is Spanish and Italian and Latin. Latin is the mother language for. Let's see if we can get them all. For the Catholic Church, of course. Yeah, but I mean, what languages? Well,
What languages are the? What is it?
40.
What is he asking?
Not the grammar. 40%, roughly 40% of English vocabulary is Latin. The other 50% is more
Arabic,
Northern and Germanic. But
Germanic.
what are the strict Latin languages? Who can get them all? One,
Spanish.
two,
Portuguese.
No.
strike three.
Portuguese.
What?
Portugal.
Three.
Portuguese.
Something
in the
missing an
Mediterranean.
easy one.
Something in the Mediterranean, obviously. Think
of where Caesar conquered.
Rome.
We said Italy. That's Italy.
It's Italian.
Yeah.
Somebody could say Sicilian if they wanted to be a wise guy.
Yeah.
Because that's Greek. You got the hard one. Oh, no. You didn't get the real hard one.
Not
missing
not
one of
Fr-
the
not-
easy ones?
Not
You know,
French.
Of course.
It is France. That's what he said.
Four, and now one last one.
Oh.
And it's easy if you think of the name of the country. If you think of the name of the country, which is near Italy, we said Spain.
La.
Think of the name of the country.
Latvia's north.
Romania.
Oh,
Romania.
Romania.
Largely off the beaten track, but the Romans conquered it, and they named it after Rome. So they built their language on Latin, even though all around them you got Slavic language, German languages, you got all other, but their language is Romanian. I had next door neighbors before I was even mayor who were Romanian, who were very friendly with my children, and we got very friendly with them. They spoke Romanian, and you could follow it with Italian. It was close enough that you could follow it with Italian. So now let's get to the Romance languages. It's so nice they're called the Romance languages. So we got to bail reform, and that's another thing we hold against Sapricone, that he gave money to the guy who sponsored Kaminsky, who sponsored bail reform. He definitely gave it to him after the guy passed it because we checked the dates. And he also donated money to Cuomo, who is the big mocker on that. State of the Union's coming up. That's going to be the end of this week on Thursday. The speaker has very intelligently invited the three police officers who were beaten up by the illegal animal Venezuelans, vindicating after many years Trump's use of the word animal when he came down the escalator when he was referring to MS-13, which needs no vindication, by the way, but still does because they keep repeating it. And now let's take a look at the solar eclipse that's coming up on April 8th. We're going to go into more detail on that. I just want to warn you about that because we're going to tell you about it. And now, Super Tuesday, which is going to be the eclipse of Halley. Halley's comet is going out on Super Tuesday. What Halley needs, Halley's not going to get. She's going to need some kind of vote in California. I don't know. She got the swamp. She got the swamp vote. That's enough. That's enough for her. The swamp vote's enough for her. Can Trump clinch? Can he clinch? What do you think, guys? We're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
Well, he can't quite do it. There isn't enough to do it. But he get very close. He will have effectively clinched by the time he's finished with the day.
Tomorrow, yeah, that effectively, you could say he did that Saturday with those big caucus wins. And
by
Michigan.
A week or two later, following contest from March 12th to the 19th, which is later, he's likely to go beyond his 12-15 needed to secure the nomination.
We won.
And the president has really pretty much already moved to the general election campaign.
Nikki's only hurting herself by staying in it. You could have made the argument, right, Mayor, that she should have stayed in. Look, get some free earned media attention, right? Where everyone's talking about her as the only alternative to Trump. But after a while, she becomes dishonest, right? She looks bitter. She looks out of touch with reality. She looks so out of touch with the party and what the party wants, right?
Well, I think we should take a short break so we do some business. Okay. What do we got left to do here? The Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now.
Back.
Don't forget. It's getting to be flu season, cold season. I don't know what you call it, but this stuff helps greatly. It helped me because I've been going through on and off this cold and like chills and fever. And I take a bunch of this and I feel great. So you go to balanceofnature.com. Promo code Rudy. This is the 90 capsule box.
35% off.
35% off. You get both. And you'll be in great shape. So tomorrow we're going to get ready for Super Tuesday, and we're going to have an extended show so that we can really discuss all the ins and outs of it and try to figure out where where things are going from here on in. We might want to take a look right now. We'll do more of that tomorrow because a lot of it, a lot of these exit polls will yield not so much information on state of the race. I mean, Trump is ahead 70%, 80%, 90%, whatever. Yeah. And he's opening up on Biden. I'd say a solid 3 to 10 point lead, depending on the poll you want to look at. But if you look at it, even a 3-point lead by Trump, then you put that into electoral votes. Remember, he won an electoral kind of almost, you wouldn't call it a wipeout, but a very substantial victory against Hillary, even though he lost a popular vote to her. So the Republican losing the popular vote means nothing but the fact that California and New York are disproportionately big.
Illinois.
So you really have to always, when you look at these polls, even if they start getting to be Biden even or Biden ahead by 2 or 3, you have got to go look at the 10 key states and see who's winning 7 out of 10 of those, because that's who's going to win the election. Well, that's also where the cheating is going to get done. So those are the ones he got. When he says he got to win by big numbers, you don't have to win Texas by big numbers. They're not going to cheat in Texas. They're going to get shot if they cheat in Texas. You got to watch Pennsylvania. You got to watch Michigan. You got to watch Fulton County, Georgia. Fanny, I took my campaign money and used it for personal expenses, and nobody even says a word about it, which tells you how damn corrupt the governor is, the attorney general is, the law enforcement is, Republican and Democrat. Well, I can announce I took campaign money. Ha, ha, ha. Don't do anything because we're crooked in Georgia.
Well, think of the states you just named, Mayor. Out of the top 10 states by population, you just said Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan. Those are the 3 states in the top 10. Pennsylvania number 5, Georgia number 8, Michigan number 10, and they happen to be the 3 swing states, right?
Yeah.
Out of the top 10 largest states in the country, 3 of them you would argue are swing, and those are the 3. And where are the biggest problems?
The biggest problems in corruption, but right now he's got a nice lead in all 3 of them. He's got about an 8-point lead in Georgia. He's got about a 5-point to 8-point lead in Michigan. In Pennsylvania, he's about even.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, he's ahead.
He's ahead, exactly.
And I would put Pennsylvania in the lead for cheating, for sure. For sure.
Georgia.
They performed a miracle in pulling out a 800,000 vote deficit in
the rig
on election night. Yeah. 800,000 vote deficit. Wow. Wow.
I like Trump's thing. He says too big to rig.
Yeah.
I like
that was, but
that is good.
That was sort of defied by Pennsylvania. If you think I would have said, I did say that night it's too big to rig. I thought 800,000, and so did my colleagues, that it was just too much.
We won Pennsylvania, you thought?
Yeah, I didn't think they could overcome the 800.
It was too big to rig already.
Well, they had a lot of trucks coming in that we didn't know about.
When they called Arizona, when Fox called Arizona.
So you knew it was a fix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way.
When Fox called Arizona, I knew it was a fix too.
That
real channel.
It was really the hard to.
Fox plays such games. I don't know how anybody watches them.
Yeah, their numbers are.
Ever since Tucker Carlson left, their primetime life.
Games. They're constantly playing games.
Oh, it's become like The View. It literally is. It's on par level with that now, as far as I'm concerned.
Who are they going to feature? They're going heavy. The last couple of days, they're making one last try for the one who doesn't know the reason for the Civil War.
Nikki Haley, yeah. Nikki Haley wins her first contest. Trump must be sweating. Nikki Haley wins DC primary, city of 700,000. They don't tell you the raw votes. She got 1,200 votes. He got 600. Therefore, 1,800 total people participated. Every lobbyist and every person that's making money off the taxpayer.
61% of the people who backed Joe in 2020 say he's too old to run right now.
Wow. Old or which
They
you know what
say
that really means? Yeah.
that's a euphemism.
Yeah, I know you
It's
know
a
that.
euphemism for
Yeah, we just gotta. But they want us to keep saying old
Yeah.
because then they can compare him to Trump when nothing can be. They're
Yeah.
so different, right? But they like that if they can keep it on age. So, but I know what you meant.
Yeah, by default, it
Yeah.
includes other people who
Includes-
don't belong in that
yeah.
category, right?
Yeah.
He's absolutely he's out of his brain
Yeah.
is the problem,
Yeah.
not his age.
President Trump is sharper than almost any 32-year-old. I'm 32. Any 32-year-old I know.
Why didn't Mitch McConnell come go with the ice cream again at the end of the year?
Yeah, that's what
I was just I was just speaking to the majority leader, Lyndon Johnson. And Lyndon, Mr. President, Lyndon's been dead. Oh. But Lyndon told me that Lyndon always used to tell me how to vote, and then hand me it would always be in the envelope with the cash. I mean, this guy's been a crook since he came in. He's a low-level trailer trash crook with his brothers and his corrupt, perverted family, and they made it to the top, and they act like a corrupt, perverted family, and look what they do to the granddaughter. What crap.
It's amazing how much time he spent out of all the countries in the world at the end of 2016, in the final months of the Obama presidency. Joe Biden was in Ukraine. He spent so much time in Ukraine. What was he doing in Ukraine so much at the end of the
Healing up the
administration?
pension. You think he got a pension from the United States?
And these guys are so. Then he just
Making sure that Kulinski would cover up for him.
while he was still vice president.
You don't think Kulinski's covering up for him? Come on.
He had the power of the vice presidency.
That's the other problem here. You've got a corruption that isn't just, if there is such a thing as ordinary corruption. This is corruption with national security tied into it, because it's not like, let's say, alleged Adams corruption. So Adams has given out all this money in contracts for homeless people over and over again. One doesn't work, he lets them keep the money, and he goes with another one. And this one is a minority firm that's never done any kind of financial work. And they get $53 million, and their sole job is to get MasterCards for $53 million. And then they get a percentage of the money that's given out, even though there's no reason to give out a percentage of the money given out, because there's no risk involved in it, and there's no risk in raising it, and there's no profit that comes from it. You don't pay percentages on the money you give out. You pay percentage on the money you get. No, but crooked Democrats pay percentages on anything that gets money to their crooked friends. So there's a 3%. So these guys who are getting 53 million can make up to 150 million more for nothing, because they're pals of his. Who the hell knows what he's getting? We just know that he's getting investigated by the federal government and the state government. We'll find out. Maybe nothing. Maybe he just likes to give unnecessary large amounts of taxpayer dollars to people, even though it ruins our budget. He may like that. Who knows? Maybe he's just stupid. There's a chance of that.
Yeah.
But in any event, it's not doing any good for homelessness. They still have maggots in the food. The same new food has just new maggots. It's outrageous what goes on. Absolutely outrageous. Well, I'm telling you, Super Tuesday is going to kind of focus us right in on the general election, I think, once it's over.
The Super Tuesday states, of course, Alabama, President Trump shouldn't have an issue there, right? Alaska, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota.
We might have she might have a chance in Maine. Maine's a weird state. Maine's almost as weird as DC.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, then they split up.
Maria didn't think so. Maria thought that Vermont was weirder.
Yeah, even if they're yeah, but like a different kind of strange, right? Like Nikki Haley, I really think the only place she could win is DC, which is just so funny. It just says everything you need to know.
Vermont.
Because Trump even gets a lot of the different quirky types of Republicans, right? He's kind of like a Big Tent Republican. He was really brought in all these different groups, like sometimes libertarians can be a little,
yeah.
but he gets them.
Yeah.
In New York, right? Is he? What would you say
he's
about?
winning in New York? He's got 80% of the vote.
There's different wings of the party in New York,
Yeah,
right?
but he's got 80% in New York.
The last poll of Maine, February 19th, Trump was destroying Haley 77 to 19%. I wasn't even
That's good.
yeah, he's killing that.
What about Vermont? You got Vermont?
I'll check Vermont for you, man.
It's amazing how he runs in California and New York. Wow.
Yeah, isn't it?
Among Republicans, that is.
Yeah.
And it also shows you California, DC is different, isn't it?
Yeah.
The DC Trump hatred, which I maintain for the jury situation, is different than New York. And at least the Republicans in New York are loyal to him. In DC, the Republicans hate him too.
Yeah. Well, think of who's only 1,800 people, maybe around 2,000 people participated, right? Think of the 2,000 Republicans. Think of living in DC as a Republican. I mean, these are people that chose to obviously leave their home area. If you're a Republican in DC, you chose to live in DC, change where you came from.
And now the crime.
Yeah. These are not, I mean.
What do you got?
Vermont's not even close either. 61 Trump, 31 Haley. It's not even.
That's still depressed. 61 when you consider New York is like 78 or 80.
Yeah.
Right now, the national average is Trump 77 and Haley 15.
So 61 is down from the national average.
Yeah.
So Vermont does show some
weirdness,
some left-wing weakness.
Trump won 98% of the caucus in Michigan. Trump won 98% of the
98%
in
which
Michigan.
And
Michigan.
And Michigan has a little bit of a moderate group too. So that that was a good number for him.
Yeah, he's a Big Tent Republican.
That means he won over a lot of the moderates.
Yeah.
Nikki Haley rose nationally a little bit, just a tiny bit, but she's dropping off. Trump just keeps going up and up and up.
Right.
He won 98%. So he won 98% of Michigan, the largest state to vote so far.
Big to rig. That's what it has.
He needs to win by. You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, he should. If everything was fair and equal, this would be a Reagan-esque level of victory, right? This would be a 1984.
You mean against Biden?
Maybe even.
Yeah. Maybe even bigger, right? He should win. What did Reagan win? 49 states?
49 states.
Humphreys, right?
Mondale.
So
Mondale.
Mondale? Where was Mondale from? Minnesota?
Mondale was in Minnesota. That's the only state he won.
So he won Minnesota.
And very close by 1%.
Yeah. So Biden might win Delaware. There's so few people, and they're all probably, got something to do with the Bidens, right?
Yeah, and who wants to get in there and try to straighten out the corruption there?
That's what it should
They'd
be.
probably kill you.
A 1984 cycle, if it were fair.
The cops, when Bernie and I went to report the child pornography, the cops there said, "You won't believe what this family's done to this place for 30 years. What a crooked family they are."
Maybe they wouldn't vote for him, right? Maybe they vote for Trump.
Yeah, he says they got the place owned. Everybody's afraid of them. Well, look, John Paul Isaac legitimately thought he'd be killed.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't kidding. He thought he'd be killed.
Yeah.
California, very interesting. 73% for Trump right now, and only 18% for Nikki Haley. California.
How could that be in California? You think about it, where only thing different there is the undecided is a little low, right? You think there's a little more. What about New York? Let's compare.
California, Hispanics love Trump, right? Yeah.
Well, I think that's changing a lot now. He's ahead by nationally. He's ahead by 6% among Hispanics.
And the stupid media thinks that means because all of his strength about the border, all these Hispanics are going to hate him. They love him for it. Yeah. The legal immigrants, people that came here the right way.
New
the border's changed. It's a different border.
It's gang members from Venezuela.
You could tell there's some
with the tattoos.
Woods here, obviously, Mayor. 60, 64, 24 Trump.
Yeah.
Over Haley
Over Haley, yeah. So there's a lot. There's people here
in
who
New York
like
City
him.
that are, yeah.
It's probably New York City.
Yeah, it is New York
It's New York City. It's not the state.
Hmm?
But yeah, that is high.
The state party feels a little free to double cross them.
I guess.
Yeah.
They feel a little free to double cross them.
Such an interesting. I will say it's very interesting, Mayor, being in New York politics compared to some other places I've been.
Politics has always been very dirty, and it's always been among the most corrupt. And Adams and Hochul are returning it to that. Hochul has been. I mean, she looks like sort of a dumb.
Housewives.
I'm not going to say that.
Oh, I see.
Housewives are a lot smarter than that. They have to buy food and stuff like that.
No, but I meant that.
It's to raise children.
Yeah, no. She looks like just a dummy.
That reality show.
Explosive eyebrows.
Yeah. When my husband, she's waiting for her money for the stadium.
So when the Bills going to build that stadium?
I wish quick so she'd get out of office. Run, get her crooked money and go.
The whole new meaning to the term Bills Mafia, right?
The one that I love the best though is she goes and does a contract while she's running for COVID
tests.
for COVID tests. We don't even need COVID tests anymore. Probably never need to do a COVID test. She spends
You don't need anything these people are pushing. Everything they touch turns to crap.
she spends that much money.
600 million.
Wow.
California bought the same test. Same number, same test. About 4 weeks earlier. At or about that time,
A direct connect.
at or about that time, that's the contribution she got from the company to a PAC.
Something's fishy.
Coincidence.
Yeah, coincidence.
A New York coincidence.
Also, she was using the VIP COVID things to get her family and friends tested first before everyone else.
Um,
Her and Cuomo, both of them.
Yeah, and before she got hooked up there, she was like the Bidens, local, fooling around where she helped her husband with the stadium to get it located where they wanted. One should know that her husband is a big shot and will make a fortune off of the various amenities they have at the stadium, which is the biggest moneymaker at a stadium. You mean where you sell the hot dogs, the beer, the pennants, the football helmets, the tickets, who knows what else, the pictures of Kelsey, whatever his name is.
Travis Kelce.
Travis Swift.
Oh, Travis.
Taylor Swift.
Travis Swift, yeah.
It's
Travis Swift.
Travis
Kelsey Swift.
Well, he's taking her name?
Well, he's retiring now.
No, that's his brother.
Oh, that's his brother.
His
Oh, I
brother
thought he
just
was
retired.
retired.
I get confused though. They're always together.
His brother is legendary.
Yeah, they're
he's
great.
conservative as well.
Is his brother as good as him?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
pro bowler. His brother's a lineman. His brother's a lineman though, not a tight end. His brother's a lineman.
Philadelphia.
His brother has a very good career. Yes, he's a very good lineman. Yes.
Philadelphia.
Is he a big jackass like
No,
Travis?
No, he does. He stays out of politics. He doesn't talk about politics.
He doesn't try to put.
That's almost
No, well,
He doesn't try to push. He doesn't try to push
Right.
useless, dangerous vaccines on
Exactly,
people
That's what I was going to say.
for a fortune that he doesn't know anything about
Correct. Yeah. He doesn't do that.
That's where not.
because he's an irresponsible millionaire. I
Doesn't
mean, the last thing that big jackass needs is more money. And there he goes, and he's selling people vaccines. And does he ever bother to take a look at some of these ball players that have died like that?
He must be getting so much money.
How about the guy that went down up in Buffalo and they never ever told you
Damar Hamlin.
when he got his vaccine? But that's the guy that was on the team where the owner said, "I forced all my players to get a vaccine." Poof.
Good job.
Thank you,
Right.
dictator, vaccine dictator. Now, that all, forget politics on that one. That one is one very good friend of mine who is a fabulous investigator told me right in the middle of that, as Dr. Maria and I were doing our groundbreaking work on that, and we did. And when I start playing all my podcasts of that again, you got quite a history of that. I'm going to tell you, I was reminded of something I used to teach. And I was said, follow the money. And man, there isn't a single thing about that whole pandemic, aside from wanting to beat Trump, that doesn't have to do with money. Right down to the attack on ivermectin, right down to the attack on hydroxychloroquine, right down to the attack on zinc. Every single one of the things I just mentioned could lessen the number of people who died from it. Given early. They orchestrated it. Just think of what murderers they were. They orchestrated it so you wouldn't get it until you got in the hospital.
Neil Cavuto on Fox said right out loud, he says, hydroxychloroquine will kill you.
Yeah, well, that's because Neil is a financial reporter, and I'm sure Pfizer got to him.
Crazy.
I'm sure Pfizer got to him. And hydroxychloroquine can't kill anybody. Hydroxychloroquine's been around for 50 years, you fat asshole.
And he is.
It's been around for 50 years. People have been taking it for malaria for 50 freaking years. If it was going to kill you for malaria, it'll kill you for this. It is a benign drug. Do you know who wrote that? Fauci, 3 years before. It is, the debate is it useful with Chinese virus? Not is it, there is not, it's been used for 50 years. Now, I know the medicine backwards. I represented pharmaceutical companies. Hydroxychloroquine is a fairly new drug of a 50-year-old drug known as chloroquine. Chloroquine has been used for many things. The most important thing it's used really as a preventative for malaria. Very, very powerful. It always had a tremendous side effect, however. Not a fatal one, not a dangerous one. I mean, it had certain side effects. Every medicine has side effects. Side effects, not everybody can take any medicine. You pick a medicine, not everybody can take it. Not everybody can take Nexium. Not everybody can take, and that's a very benign medicine for your stomach, but not everybody can take it. There is an article by Fauci saying that hydroxychloroquine is one of the most benign drugs and one of the most useful drugs in the whole spectrum of drug. Can be used for many purposes. Main purpose, you take it before you go to an area with malaria and you acquire an immunity of some sort. Side effect, 20%. Bad dreams.
Oh, wow.
Really bad dreams. So when I went to India, I took it and my friends took it, and one of my friends got very bad dreams. He couldn't take it again. He had to take something else. It was good, wasn't as effective, but it was good. Hydroxychloroquine is exactly the same, except it has been developed so it avoids the side effect. So you can take hydroxychloroquine without bad dreams, by and large. I mean, it's still a possibility. So I took hydroxychloroquine quite a few times during the situation. I also used it for my good friend Rudy Washington, who we'd love to put on sometime, whose life was saved by it, who has a collapsed or damaged lung, and was a person and we got it to him early on. But here's what I knew about it, and here's what is so homicidal about these people. Hydroxychloroquine works if you get it in the first 6 days in which you have Chinese virus. And it doesn't cure doesn't, I don't know if you say cure the virus or whatever. It lessens the virus. And if you take it with zinc, hydroxychloroquine has has like little pointers on it that help to pierce cells.
Receptors.
So when you pierce the cell, I'll have Dr. Maria do this for you. I mean, she'll do it much better than me. But here's a cell, right? So the hydroxychloroquine will come in like this into the cell. It won't just surround the cell. Now, if you give it with zinc, instead of the zinc surrounding the cell, which is an anti-inflammatory and an enormously powerful anti-inflammatory, the zinc went into the cell and began to reduce the inflammation quickly. Dr. Zelenko showed this, drew this for me. Yeah, and if you look at the numbers, you got 98% results with this. You got 97, 98% results for this, which Fauci and his people are fighting against, because if this worked, and we could tell a whole separate story on ivermectin, the so-called horse medicine, right? If either one of them worked, you could not have gotten the emergency exception for the multi-billion-dollar vaccine. They wouldn't have made the money. Money had been lost.
Wouldn't have that.
Now, what do we got left?
Mayor, we're about to we're getting close to end here. Just why don't you plug your Twitter and your specials? Tell people to press that subscribe button.
All right. Well, let's get on that subscribe button, boys, because we're starting to get into we're starting to get an election time. There's going to be a really good analysis of the case, the important case. And number two, there's going to be a really good analysis of Super Tuesday. And then we're going to continue to feed it with election, all kinds of information, valuable information, polls, analysis, rumors, gossip, and absolutely solid recommendations and of what you can do so that we don't get robbed.
That's right.
Well,
No coincidence.
God bless the people of Israel. God bless the people of the United States. We'll be back tomorrow. Go on, subscribe, because we're going to be talking about the case and then Super Tuesday. And tomorrow night, we're going to have extended coverage and a couple of extra people who are experts on the election so that we can go back and forth and have a little debate. Okay. God bless America, and God bless all of you.
Whole life, when I took out a large amount of money on my first campaign, I kept some of the cash of that. Like, to tell you.
Our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply